Good evening. It is yet another great evening, and on today's show, just want to discuss a very great topic. Welcome on board. Thank you so much, and sorry for keeping you waiting for long. We have a very great topic lined up for you, and today we are discussing vermicomposting, the process of having and converting earthworms into waste material so that they can be used on our farms. With me today is a guest. We'll let the guest introduce himself because he knows himself better. Welcome on board,
sir.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me? Do we have the guest? Oh, okay. You can you will let me know once we get the guest. Meanwhile, you can check our traffics. We go to our traffic updates and see how our roads are as we wait for our guest to join us. So please let us know where are you at, which route. In case you've seen anything on our roads, you can let us know. Please get in touch with us. Tell us where you at. The traffic is a bit crazy from what I can see on my end. It's very crazy. Like Mombasa Road is crazy, totally crazy from my end. I can see Mombasa Road is very crazy. Our producer, can you put, are you able to showcase the traffic? Mombasa Road is busy, very busy. The city hallway is also crazy. So if you're driving through the city hallway towards connecting with Mamangina, Kaunda Street, those places are so heavy on traffic. Yeah, Parliament Road is a bit easing up. Kenyatta Avenue is crazy, very crazy. Let me check. If you're using the expressway, then the expressway is okay. There's no traffic as usual. There's no traffic on expressway. I think I've mentioned Taita Road. Taita Road is crazy, very crazy. Moi Avenue, if you have no business in Moi Avenue, please avoid it as much as you can. Rangara Street is okay. Landis Road is always having very heavy traffic. Along Temple Road, those places have very heavy traffic. In case you've seen anything on our roads that you need us to know, please let us know. Kirinyaga Road is crazy as well. Charles Rubia Road, there's minimal traffic. River Road is crazy. Avoid it as much as you can. The traffic on River Road is crazy. Let me see the road. We'll keep you updated on how the traffic is. Just keep it farm drive, and we'll keep you updated on everything that is happening on our roads. So today we're discussing about vermicomposting, and as we all know, these are some of the things in agriculture that most of us haven't embraced so far. And we as farmers, we are encouraged to try out new things that come up every day. We are encouraged to be proactive in every area and in technologies. So vermicomposting is a process whereby earthworms convert waste material into compost so that it can be used as a fertilizer to enhance plant growth. So today this is what we are going to discuss: how to go through it, the benefits, the do's and don'ts, the disadvantages of using such kind of methods. Is it worthwhile? Is it something that can be done on a larger scale, or is it just something that can be done for just small scale farming? So with me today I have a guest. I don't know whether he's in. My producer, please, can you tell me if my guest is already with us? Oh, he's not yet. So my guest hasn't joined yet. Have someone who is who has done this for quite some time. Kindly go back to the pictures. We can see how vermicomposting is. Yes, thank you. So as you can see, that is already earthworms that have already composed, and the next yes, thank you. As you can see, those are earthworms, and those are earthworms that have already gone through the process and they're almost in their final stages. So vermicomposting is a process that most of us have tried to embrace, but due to its technicalities, most of the time we go wrong because we don't really understand what it entails. We rush, and sometimes we don't follow the due process in order for us to have the best out of this process. This process is something that is regarded as very clean. It's very sustainable because it also has zero waste approach in managing organic wastes. But again, there's a lot of practicality in it that needs. Yes, there's a lot of practicality in it that needs to be well taken care of, because if you don't take good care of the approach, then that's when you go wrong as a farmer. And today I've joined by a guest, a very renowned person in this field. He will introduce himself and let us know what is vermicomposition. Welcome on board.
Thank you so much.
Hello, sir.
I'm humbled to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm humbled to be here. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
So just give us a brief what vermicomposting is. Yeah. Basically, what is it? What does it entail?
Okay, thank you. So maybe I may start by introducing myself. I'm George Muturi, the founder of Comfort Worms Edintech. And we deal with vermiculture, vermicomposting, black soldier fly farming, and Zora farming. And going direct into vermicomposting or vermiculture, we say this is the process of composting using worms to break down whichever kind of waste that you are composting. And at the end of the day, we end up getting our product, that is
Yes.
the vermicompost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how is the process like? What is it that is involved in vermicomposting? Is it only, because I understand from my point of view, it's the earthworms, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else specifically that can be used in this process, or specifically it has to be one thing, earthworms?
So now what happens when we talk about now vermicomposting? Basically, we are talking about worms, earthworms.
Yeah.
When we talk of now the composting processes using the worms, we get to narrow down to specific types of worms as compared to generalize and say worms. Because we say there are about 8,000 plus types
Yes.
of worms or around the
Yes.
globe.
Mhm.
But the types that are used are just 5 for the vermicomposting.
Yes.
And the ones that we use here locally in Kenya, we have two specific types that we call the red worms or red tree-grass, and we have the African night crawlers. So those are the two types of worms that are used here in Kenya.
Yes.
Now, there are other different methods of composting that we cannot classify under vermicomposting.
Yes.
But during the process of raising black soldier flies,
Yeah.
also end up getting a type of a compost that we call frass, of which in a way we can say it's almost a way of vermicomposting. Yeah.
Awesome. Now that you've mentioned about the type of worms that we use here in Kenya, how do you get them? Like, I know a farmer is asking, he wants to start such a thing.
Yeah.
How does he start? What is the method? What is the approach? Is it viable enough? Is it something that I can just wake up as a farmer and say, I think this is something I can do. Let me gather my things together so that tomorrow it's done and dusted.
Okay. So now when starting the vermicomposting process, it's not complicated. First.
Yes.
But we try and look at the targets. Because now, one, a farmer may just say, I want to start small and then grow gradually and get to a point where I'm able to produce my own compost, maybe for an acre, for 2 or 3 acres.
Yes.
Then we may have another farmer who may say, I want to start big and produce my compost for 10, 20 acres.
Yes.
All these are different ways and they have different approaches. So we look mainly at what the target is. So now from there we can be able to say that it's going to be this complicated, or you need such a kind of a structure. But for a general farmer, for a small scale farmer, we say you start small. You can use a container, you can use a bucket, you can use a half drum, you can just make a small with the system that we call a bed. We raise the worms in systems that we call beds. You can make one bed. Then now from that point,
yes,
you need now to get worms.
Yes.
And now getting the worms, you just don't go and collect the worms around your shamba or somewhere in the wet areas. You need to get worms from another farm or either an institution
Yes.
where you are sure that you are getting that specific type of worm. Because if you correct it from the soil, you will correct so many different varieties of which they won't be that productive.
Yeah.
So when starting, we advise mostly start with buying some few worms from another farm, go breed them after making the structures that I have mentioned, prepare their beddings, prepare what they are going to feed on. Then now from there, you can be able to grow gradually as time goes by. The worms will keep on reproducing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe I will take you back to how where you started explaining what vermicompost is.
Yeah.
What is the content of having a vermicompost? What is its structure like? If someone was to ask you why should I choose this method, or why is it better than other alternatives?
So if we look back, what have been our tradition,
Yes.
mostly farmers have just been correcting either cow manure, sheep,
Yes.
goat or chicken manure,
Yes.
and then they take that direct to the shamba without even doing any composting. And then where you find farmers are doing composting, they are not able to produce a very good quality of compost that they take to the shamba. So now the idea of vermicomposting or getting the compost is that one, we try and produce a high quality compost. That one is balanced in nutrients and also in pH.
Yes.
We also look the advantage that it's very high in water retention. So farmers don't use a lot of water when using this method. And also we see that one of the biggest challenges of the food that is produced just using manure or the uncomposted manure, you find that either it's not very safe or it has traces of chemicals
Yes.
or pathogens.
Yes.
So now what happens now with the vermicomposting process is that the worms screens. We say
Yes.
the worm screens that compost or manure as they break it down. So by
Yes.
the time we harvest that and take that to the garden, we find that one is safe. We won't have the challenges of most of the pests, uh, a number of the challenges that we say that most of the Kenya grown food cannot be exported because of the different pathogens found in it. So we say that now the process tries to clean or work on the compost or the manure that we feed on them, and then at the end of the day they give us a clean compost for the farm.
Yes. Well, from what you're saying, I think this is something that we as farmers we really need to embrace, and we really need to think about it on a larger scale. But again, maybe there's this farmer who is so worried, like me. I'm wondering if I've done if my soil pH is at a certain level, should I also be worried about using vermicompost on my farm based on my pH levels, or is there something that should worry me before I use this kind of method?
Mostly now when using this method,
Yes.
the farmer should not be worried of maybe affecting the pH. Because now what if we try to look back many years ago, we will
Yes.
find so many worms. We're either digging, cleaning the garden. Now what happened because of the changes in the soil pH and also the continuous use of different kinds of chemicals that are
Yes.
harmful to the worms, we find that the worms got to be extinct in most of parts uh, of the nation. So now what we do, if we use or by the use of the vermicompost, you find that it tries so much to balance the soil pH. So the farmer should not be worried about that once I use vermicompost, I'll be affecting or I'll be changing or I'll be harming the soil. So you find that once we use the vermicompost, the soil gets to be more productive and even the plants gets to be more disease resistant to
Yes.
pests also. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Very great insights. Very great insights on vermicompost. Now,
Yeah.
I think most of us have tried different methods of having different kinds of compost manure. But then vermicompost is something that most people haven't really tried out. Very few people know about it. And I'm sure even today this person who is hearing about it for the very first time and is asking
Sure.
himself, now, I'm a farmer, right? And maybe the next 1 month is a planting season, or the next 2 weeks
Yeah.
is a planting season. So they're wondering,
Yeah.
what is the process like? How many months should I take
Mhm.
to prepare a vermicompost? How long does it take? There are people who I know who have such questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now the process of vermicomposting
Mm-hmm.
varies so much
Yes.
uh, in that we look at the population of worms because now the worms are the workers that are working on that compost.
Yes.
So if we have a lot of worms, we say that we do our composting within a period of 30 days, 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
If the worms are not too many, the process goes even up to 2 months. But
Yes.
averagely, like in our system, we say after every 6 weeks, that is 1 month and a half, we do harvest, or the process happens to be through, and then we are able now to harvest, or we are able to separate now the worms from the compost, and then now we have our vermicompost which we can use now directly in the farm.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
having worked and have had an experience with vermicompost for quite some time now. What do you think about the advantages and also the disadvantages of trying this method?
We may first look at the advantages
Yes.
because now over time we have been in this process now for the past 9 years. Uh, but when we started, we were not really targeting to the compost, but breed more worms as a source of protein for chicken. But it didn't really work out as expected. So now
Yes.
that is when we diversified into using the worms for composting process. So now what we have noted with the vermicompost after using it in our farm around, we have realized the increased production. We have also noted that uh, we don't have to deal with a lot of challenges of pests and diseases. So the compost or the vermicompost helps the plant to be disease and pest resistant. Also, as I had mentioned earlier, there is an advantage of water retention. So we really don't use a lot of water when using vermicompost. So it happens to hold enough water for the plant to last the plant for a period of time. So when we we have tried to look at maybe if there is any disadvantage, but for the time that we have been doing it, we have not seen something that we may say to be a disadvantage. Just that when doing the whole process, you have to try and make structures for the worms, of which it's not really a disadvantage but a challenge when trying to produce more compost. But this all depends on where one is located, because in some areas we can just do the composting on the ground. In some
Yes.
areas we may not be able to do. So we just look at those as some of maybe the challenges that we face.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, having compared the advantages and disadvantages, does the advantages overlook or overshadows the disadvantages, or it's vice versa from a professional point of view?
So the advantages that we realize from the operations, we say they are many, and if we were to say that in terms of percentages, we may say the advantages are 80% of what we get, even after going maybe the cost of doing the structures, construction, and all that. You find that the advantages are far much better as compared if we were to compare with some of the challenges that we come across. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much for those great insights. I'm really learning a lot today, and I've even realized that even in my kitchen garden, I can really just use vermicompost on my farm. So I will take a short break, take a short breather, and we will be right back. Stay tuned, keep it Farm Drive.
Bed garden, the weak irrigation garden, vegetables and fruits for household use or for commercial purposes. To establish the multi-story garden, you need a net. Alternatively, you can use a polythene tube, sack or plastic containers. You also require soil mixed with manure on a ratio of 1:1, ballast, a shovel, a 2 kg tin, seedlings, and a cutting tool.
So when you are starting to construct, you've already identified the space where you want to construct. You'll hold your multi-story width-wise from side to side using your hands, and then you bring it together at one point, and then you turn it upside down because it's a net, and then you put it at the selected place where you've sighted. Put it at the center. Once you put it at the center, get the soil and manure mixture, which you've mixed at a ratio of 1:1. You pour on the net and level it very well so that it firms the net, it holds it in place. Once the net has been held in place, get your 2 kg tin, which is hollow. That is, you remove the lower part, and the upper part obviously it should not have a lid, so that when you put there stones, it can pass through. So you get that 2 kg tin, put at the center of the net, and then you put ballast inside there. You can cover the ballast so that the soil doesn't get inside the ballast. So once you put the ballast and you've covered with maybe a polythene or something, anything, even if it's a cloth, to avoid the soil from getting into the ballast, because that will be your channel for watering. Put soil around the tin. When the soil reaches the height of the tin. You shake it a bit and then move it up, leaving the ballast down. So once you move it up, the tin will be empty again. Put more ballast in the tin, and then after you put more ballast in the tin, you put soil around the tin again until it reaches the top of the tin, and then you shake the ballast again, and then you move it up. And then you feed the tin with more ballast again, because it will now be empty. So you will repeat this process several times until you reach the top of the multi-story. So once you reach the top of the net, you'll move the tin up a bit from the soil, add more ballast, and then you leave the tin there for watering purposes. After you've finished constructing your multi-story, the ballast has come from down. That will be your watering channel, so you'll be pouring water through that ballast or that tin where you've left the ballast. You pour water through there, and then after you've poured, when you pour water, because you've planted some few crops on the top and the ballast has gone down, you will also water from the top, just a little water from the top for the crops that are on the top. Once you've made the multi-story and the ballast, you also make a bed around the multi-story so that the water that gets through the multi-story will not go to waste. You will plant some vegetables around the multi-story, around 2 lines of vegetables around the multi-story. So once the multi-story is now standing and ready, and you've made the bed around the multi-story, you will water the multi-story well. You water it well, and then we encourage you plant it the following day, so that you leave the multi-story to settle for some time, so that if it sinks down a bit, when you come the following day, you will add more soil that has the mixture of soil and manure, and then you'll water again, and then you do your planting. For the net, the planting spaces are already put there, because you've already watered the multi-story. You will get something to help you make the holes for the seedlings. So once you make the holes, you make the holes at an angle of 45 degrees down. The way a crop grows, the way you make it, so you make it at 45 degrees down. After you made it at 45 degrees down, you put your seedling in the hole, and then you get soil with the same stick. You just put the stick in the hole, but up. You are putting it from up, and then you bring the soil to the seedling, so that the soil can now stand firm. And then the top also you will plant at the same spacing of 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. And the bottom, where you put the base, you will also plant at 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. And once you've done that, you can decide to plant variety on that multi-story, or you can plant 1 variety or 2 varieties, depending on the vegetables that you like. The top is very good for planting root crops. So if you have some root crops you want to plant, like the carrots, even cabbages, if it's a big multi-story, you can plant some cabbages. And also down the base, you can also plant some root crops that you feel you want to plant. They can be the carrots, they can be the beetroots, and you can plant also the brassicas, those ones that form the head, because they cannot be on the side. So you can plant the cabbages on the side also, and you can also incorporate some spices when you are planting your multi-story to help in pest control.
Our appeal to the viewers that may be watching this is, see something and implement. This is how we collectively contribute to food and nutrition security, when each and every household is able to produce safe.
Welcome back, our great listener. Today we have a very great topic lined up for you, and we are discussing very great. We are discussing something that is very important to all the farmers. We have a guest who is a specialist in matters vermicomposting, and he has taken us through the processes, what it entails, and all the things that basically we need to know about vermicomposting. So right about now, I just want us to check and see how our traffic is. We had just seen earlier on that Mombasa Road is crazy. I don't know whether my producer can put up that again so that we can check. Mombasa Road is crazy as usual. Kipande Road is moving, but it's also a bit crazy. Here, as you can see, the expressway is moving swiftly. Expressway is moving swiftly. Kipande Street, it's moving, though there's heavy traffic, very heavy traffic on that end. So if you're planning to move through that route, kindly, you need to know that it's heavy, very heavy traffic on that end. Kindly let us know of any updates on whichever road you are at. Yes, and we'll gladly pass the information to everyone. Traffic today is not easy on all the roads. It's very tight. Very tight. Thika Road, it's moving. Thika Road is moving, though it's a bit crazy as well, but it's moving swiftly. Yeah, you can send us your feedbacks on our social media networks, social media handles. We have Facebook, Farmers, YouTube, Farmers Media, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just check us out. You can like, subscribe, give us your feedback, and let us know how you feel. You can also give us feedback on vermicompost. If you have anything that you would ask, please feel free. Send in whichever questions you have. You can also listen to us on Zeno app. Download Zeno app, search for Farmers Media. We have our radio station there. You can always listen to good music. You can always listen to the episodes. You can always watch any kind of shows that you want to listen to. So back to our guest in studio. My producer, I don't know whether he's still with us. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Karibu sana. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. Now someone is asking us on our social media networks, how do I set up a vermicomposting container?
So now, setting up a vermicomposting container, one, we need to know which type of are you setting up. We had mentioned you can do a bucket, a half drum, or maybe.
Yes.
But now we can start with the bucket, almost services for people in the urban areas, and who can be able to produce their own compost. And also there is a product that we call the vermi liquid. So now, in such a case, we get bucket, maybe a 20-liter bucket. You need it. You can either get dry grass or hay, just not much. If you can get either one's news.
Okay.
Now these we call them beddings. So these are that will be the base, or will be at the bottom of that bucket.
Yes.
Then now from that, you need to get now whatever that you are going to fields. Mostly for the people who are in the urban areas, they either have kitchen scraps that contains a variety of items, vegetables. It can be fruit waste, vegetable fruit waste, anything that we say it's not cooked, but comes
Yes.
from the kitchen. You can use that, though in the same case, we avoid citric items. So onions, no lemons, such kinds of things, oranges, we avoid those. Then now you have that kind of, then now you need to introduce the worms at that point. Then from that point now you can be able to be feeding worms once in a week.
Yes.
Whenever you have small from your kitchen that you need to top up, if the peelings, banana, such things, you can put now in your. And the worms will work on that as time goes by. Then at the end of the 6 or 8 weeks, you will have some compost that you can harvest and in your kitchen garden.
Okay. All right. Now, you also have John. John is asking a very good question. Which type of worms specifically? Because he's saying, can you just use any worm, or it has to be a specific type of worm that can really do, or can be used on vermicomposting?
Now, if we may go deep, a bit deep in the types of worms, we had said we have maybe about 8,000 around the globe.
Yes.
Just 5 are the ones that are used for composting. So now, what happens? We get the red worms and African night crawlers, which are mixed in Kenya. So those are the specific types
Yes.
one can use for composting. To correct any other type, it may not work like the red worms or African night.
Yes.
Because we say the African night crawlers and worms are easy to adapt in new areas. Feeding, it's easy to feed them, and also it's easy to control them. Just not be able to control them, because once it gets to be whenever you are keeping, it gets to it, they just feel like crawling out. So we use these types because of the adaptability, also how easy it is on them, and also we look at the big terms of feeding, because we need worms that will feed very fast.
Yes.
So that can be able to break our waste within a short period of time. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So it means these things are just manageable. There's no magic.
Yeah, they are very manageable. Once you have the right type,
yes,
it's very easy to manage them, provided you give them the right moisture, the right feeding, no chemicals. They are able to be managed. Yeah.
So are the things you mentioned, like the right chemicals, the right moisture, are these the only things that someone should avoid in order for him to have maximum output out of all this?
Yeah, these are the major things that one should look into. Because one, the right feeding with the right moisture, and then you avoid chemicals, and also acidity of whatever you're feeding.
Yes.
If you're able to look into that, one, you are going to be productive. We say you look at the predators, because considering they are very natural. Natural items have natural predators. So like for them, biggest press safarians.
Yes.
So if you are not able to do that, you can easily lose your whole colony of worms within a
Yes.
very short time. Once you are able to manage, you can be
Mm-hmm.
able to grow your worms in also a short period of time.
This is perfect. This is great. This is good news. But
Yeah.
someone is asking, is it something that someone can invest in and say, now me, I'm not a farmer, but I want to do vermicomposting for the sake of selling to the consumers or to the farmers. Is it something that can be done on a larger scale, and is there market value for it?
Very good question.
Yes.
What we may look at, and we say that you need to look at the farmers or the people around you,
Yes.
because now that is your immediate. If not using, then that will be your immediate market. And if you have farmers who have that gap, maybe they purchasers, they need to increase their productivity. You can do this as a business, because that currently we are doing.
Yeah.
And just using the compost for our own farm, we also produce the compost and sell out to other farmers. So it's
Yes.
something that one can be able to get in, and give it time to grow. Then now at the end, you to
Yes.
stabilize and go to producing your certificate that you have already established.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now this is good news, because what you're saying is anyone can decide to do vermicomposting, right? Vermicomposition is for everyone. So long as you use the right methods, so long as you have everything in place, very good structures, you follow up with the right methods, then you are good to go.
Sure.
All right. Now, to add juice on everything that we've just said, there's this issue of people getting worried because they could be living in different places, in different areas. We have semi-arid areas, and we have arid places. So can it be done anywhere, considering the weather patterns, the climate effects? Is it something that can be carried out in whichever or whatever weather condition?
So now, according to somewhere that we look at these types of worms, their adaptability.
Okay.
So worms are very much adapted to different areas and different climatic conditions. Only what we look at is kind of that we make in
Yes.
kind of areas. Because now, for example, in my farm where I'm based, that is in Highland, in Raleigh County,
Yes.
we cannot do kind of structure somewhere like
Yes.
Kajiado. So they are going to adapt, they are going to reproduce, they are going to produce the compost, but with to different structure compared to what we do here, so that they can be able to adapt and feed and break down whatever kind of food that you are going to feed them. So it all depends on the area that you are taking them and the kind of structure that you are going to put for them.
Oh.
But they can survive in most of the regions. So in Kenya, I can say they can survive in almost every part of Kenya. We survive where temperatures are below, where they go below 15 degrees, like for a long period. But in Kenya, we really don't. Yeah.
Well, there's an issue with fear. You have people who fear worms. Like personally, I really fear worms. I cannot even touch them. You know, the sight of just seeing a worm makes me have goosebumps. So, as a farming method, or rather in your own terms, in your own ways, how do you help a farmer who wants to practice this kind of method, but also considering the fact that they also have this kind of fear? Yes, is there a sensitization method? Is there a way you take them through? Is there, I mean, are there methods that you guys use in such scenarios?
So what happens? One may be interested to get the compost.
Yes.
But they feel that they may not be in a position to touch the worm. So first you have a method where you can introduce the worms or compost. Then you get the compost from. But we say one, you may not really be comfortable touching them in the initial stages. But if you keep them and as time goes by and you are able to adjust, you may find it even much easier as time goes by.
Yes.
To touch them, to harvest them, separate them. You even start using gloves when holding them, when water in their beds. Then as time goes by, you'd even feel comfortable with them with their hands. Even in my case, I really didn't feel so about it.
Yes.
As goes, I felt it was really nice touching them. You feel it will be you have that feeling whereby you feel so much satisfied by touching them. So it's something that starts slowly. Then as time goes by, you find you get the confidence and hold them, time to inspect them, and you really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, having talked about this, I'm just thinking of a friend of mine who has tried this thing out, and he used to tell me the first day he was harvesting, he really had a very crazy experience. So maybe before I tell our audience what the experience was, can you just give us a highlight on what happens during the harvest? How do you harvest this kind of?
So there are a number of ways that we use to harvest the worms. One of which is the most common to most of the farmers. We say it's a method whereby we use light. Worms are light sensitive.
Oh, really?
So once you expose them, once you expose
why so? I mean, why does that happen? Or is just something natural when you guys don't understand?
It's something just natural. So once you expose them to light, what they do, they'll hide. So it's what we do. We get a plastic sheet or a mat, then them there together with the compost. So they'll keep on high compost, and we'll come on top, just like sweeping on top, and then we'll have the compost at the end of the day on one side, and then we'll have our treated on one end. So that is one method that we use to separate the worms from the compost. And this method mostly is the one that is used. And also you realize that you have to keep on holding the worms. You try
Yes.
to sweep. Then now the other method of which is
Just wait a bit. I'm sorry to cut you short.
Yeah.
You've talked about light, huh?
Yeah.
Does this mean that these things should always be placed, like the worms should always be placed in dark places? They shouldn't be exposed to any kind of light?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
What happens,
Yes.
if you want them to be productive in a short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
it's advisable that their structure be in a shaded and a dark. It may not be 100% darkness, but
Mm-hmm.
reduce the light that gets through to them.
Mm-hmm.
And also at times we just cover. Whenever we feed them, we give whatever they are feeding on.
Mm-hmm.
We cover up just to make sure that there is no access to light. And this helps them to feed more and to break down the compost even within a period of time. So if you leave them in exposed to light, you find that they will feed on what is at the bottom, but they won't feed on that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
during the harvest period, you had just finished talking about the first method. Now we are on the second.
Yeah.
The second method. Kindly continue.
Yeah. So now on the second method of sieving, it's we can say it's a bit mechanical, because this is where now we come in with a sieve.
Mm-hmm.
So either a sieve can be manual, the
Yes.
one that the farmer just holds
Yes.
and shakes. Then now the fine compost will go through, then the worms will remain on top, and also the bigger ones which have not been composted. Second, may come up with a rotating sieve.
Yes.
We call it the rotary drum sieve, which it's open on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a drum, but open on both ends.
Yes.
And we have a sieve all around. And when we introduce our worms together with the compost on end, we rotate the sieve. And as the sieve rotates, the fine compost goes through the holes of the sieve.
Yes.
Then at the end, that is where we put the worms and whatever maybe was not covered, or the bigger particles of the compost. So now
Yes.
that is a bit mechanical. And for most of those producing now compost commercially, that is the way to go.
All right. Now, you really mentioned very good ways of harvesting, and I think I'm even now thinking on those lines. I think once we are done with this, I need to now call you and talk to you about this, because you've really tried to explain very well on how to manage this, how to go through it, and I'm really thinking of now, this is something that I really need to try out. I just need to try this. So vermicompost, is it something that I can use on my kitchen garden? Is it something I can use for any kind of crop, or it's only meant for specific kind of crops? Can I use it on rice? Can I use it on fruit trees? Can I use it, on different kind of crops? Can I use it on groundnuts? Can I use it on beans? Considering
So now,
the issues of pH
vermicompost,
levels, considering the issues of different climates, you know, considering, considering those factors.
So now once we do our sieving, then we return the worms back to their bed systems, and we feed them again to give them now time to compost and break that down.
Yes.
So what happens is that the compost that we have already harvested, it's now ready for use. We don't further process it. You just correct, take it to the farm. It's not selective on which plant we are using or what, because we say it has a balanced nutrients, and also it has the trace elements. So we don't say that it's good for the maize, but not for the cabbages. So it's general. We can all kinds of plants.
Yes.
For the fruit trees, it's doing very well for the avocados around. We're using it on avocados, and it's really well. So we don't really just say it's for the cabbages and not for the maize. So it's just for all crops. Yeah.
Well, during all these, are there tests that are being done before maybe you carry out vermicomposting method? Is there some analysis, like some pilot analysis that needs to be carried out? Maybe if, for example, I'm a client and I need this kind of method in my farm. Is there something that I need to follow up on? Is there a procedure, like a standard procedure, something I need to do? Do you guys come to the farm and check my soil or the kind of crops that are there? I mean, how do you come up with the final analysis of my needs?
So now what we do, we may not really say that maybe a certain farmer needs 100 kgs of vermicompost in their soil.
Yes, kindly increase your voice a bit.
Size. So we may not really say that a farmer maybe needs 100 kgs or 200 kgs in this specific part or this area. So what happens now? We work with the different institutions that do soil sampling and testing. Now from that, the results will tell us that this soil has these deficiencies, it requires this and this and this. And now from that point, we can say, you can get this now from the vermicompost that we have, and you will use these amounts. And also we do visit farms, ordering on the damage. A farmer may require to do a setup. We may need maybe to do pilots. We make one structure or one bed with forms. We see how they are adapting, how they are working on their compost, and whatever we are able to harvest from that stage. And then now from that point, we can be able now to replicate that and do a structure that will be able to produce the amount depending on the demand of. So all these are things that work around not only us but also in collaboration with other institutions.
Now, I was giving a story about a friend of mine who had a very crazy experience during his harvest, and just before he finished harvesting, birds came and ate all the worms. Then we just realized, oh, these things are also prone to attacks. So because I'm sure if I'm a farmer and I have birds with me, I have chicken, I have, you know, the probability of my project being successful is also a bit low.
Yeah.
So what are some of the measures? How do you deal with such cases? Frogs, snakes, you know, birds, you know, because also, you know, when you have, when you're practicing such kind of a method, then there are also other things that are involved. You know, like maybe if it's close to the house, then probably you're thinking of, whoa, a snake will come around. You understand? Oh, I will be having frogs all over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you go about this as a measure?
So now what we do,
Mm-hmm.
mostly we look at the structuring part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are making structures, sure that the structure is, and
Mm-hmm.
also we try as much as possible for the structure to be to keep away
Yes.
the predators,
Mm-hmm.
so that our worms can remain safe. So as you have mentioned, whenever maybe birds find out that you have
Mm-hmm.
some worms around, they will for sure visit. And at times, very early in the morning,
Yes.
you find that they come for me. So what we do, we make sure that once we feed them worms and we give them the structure or the structure that we have made for them, we just don't leave it open. Why we
Yes.
don't do a net around, to keep away the, the birds. Also, at times we cover the beds we have,
Mm-hmm.
we cover on top using a material that we allow here. Mostly we say we use gunny bags or we can use sisal bags or with cartons, kinds of material, just to keep
Yes.
away the predators, but also to keep the worms safe, and materials that won't increase the temperatures. Because if we did a plastic top, that will increase temperatures that will introduce damage in our
Mm-hmm.
worms. So we check at which material are we using, and
Yes.
also just to keep the worms safe, but also to protect them from such kind of attacks. We
Yes.
have also noted, apart now from the birds, we get other spore predators. We find at times we meet other, we call them predators. We have things like myriads of prey on the eggs of worms. So such kinds of things we just scout and remove them manually because they are not so many as compared to now to birds and things like safarians, which I had mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, Now, someone is asking in our social media handle, someone is asking, he once had a worm bin and he once had a worm bin, but again, along the way, his worms started dying. So what could have been the issue? Because he's saying was having very tiny worm bins.
This of death for the worms
Mm-hmm.
noted have been majorly two things,
Mm-hmm.
or we may say one may be because
Mm-hmm.
if you brought in any kind of waste that had chemical residues that affected the
Mm-hmm.
worms, that could be. Second would be acidity, maybe from citric fruits, if you
Yes.
used any kinds of fruits that are
Mm-hmm.
citric. And that we say if you use vegetables, especially
Mm-hmm.
sukuma wiki, when they decompose, at times they get to be very high, very acidic. So what happens if either of those three things happens, or
Yes.
either temperatures were so high during the process, either things affected the worms, and that ended up eating the worms. Yeah. Also, we save the bee did not have any hole to let out any liquid from the system, and it
Yes.
got to be so much soggy. Also, that can be a cause of killing the worms. So you look at of things. Those are the major things that will kill the worms in a bean system. Yeah.
And now that brings us to the issue of quality. Because when you talk about he was trying it out, then along the way, the worms died, it means quality was compromised.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So how
Yeah.
do you measure quality? How do I tell that now my vermicompost is pure, it's perfect? How do you know?
So one of the sure of knowing your vermicompost is of good quality, it's doing just an analysis. We look at like what we do. We
Yes.
just correct our compost now from here, take it to the labs. We give it time, they do the analysis, then we have our results back. But for a farmer who may not be able to do that, maybe they can have control of everything that they are feeding to their worms. Maybe farmer has a cow, he just corrects that manure.
Yes.
That is one of the raw materials. The farmer may also be producing their own vegetables, or maybe they have planted a hedge of Tidonia for the worms. So these kind of things that the farmer has control over, we make sure that whatever he feeds to the worms, at the end of the day, he is going to harvest a compost that is, we can say, is of good quality, and that he has had control over. As just compared to just going out, collecting different kinds of waste, or even market waste and vegetable from the market, we may not
Yes.
have control over such kind of things. And that will at times compromise the system.
Now, this farmer who's also worried about the organic carbon percentage, the nitrogen percentage,
Yeah.
and sometimes you find there's a lot of odor from the compost. How do you guys determine these, or what are some of the ways of determining all these percentages, or what is the workaround generally?
So now what happens is that we just don't feed the worms on maybe one type of thing or item.
Okay.
Like for example, the manure. Because now once maybe you feed them on just manure, you're sure that at the end of the day, we are going to have a lot of nitrogen, and the other types of nutrients required may be low. So what we do, we work on having varieties of items to feed the worms.
So in short, the worms also need a balanced diet, huh?
Yeah, in short, they will need a balanced diet. So you will need the manure.
Yes.
You are going to need, when we talk of carbon, look at things that will give us carbon. Look at dry matter, especially dry matter.
Yes.
Look at a lot of dry matter, that is grass. At times we may use newspapers. All these will try and give us carbon. When we look at things like phosphorus, we go into the garden and look for something like comfrey, Russian comfrey.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the things that will help us in balancing the compost that you are going to have at the end.
All right. Now, when trying to balance,
Yeah.
when trying to find a balance, so now that you're saying the balance is determined with how you feed them,
Yeah.
is this also in relation to the type of maybe soil you have, or the kind of pH that your soil has? Because sometimes you might find a balance, yet the kind of balance you need is not even what your farm needs.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
how do you know that? How do you know how do you even find a balance? How do you find the ratio between the vermicompost itself and the soil?
So now what happens? First, for the farmers who are doing their soil analysis, it's a bit easy for them to have that balance.
Yes.
Because now if a farmer did their testing,
Yes.
and they realize that my soil has enough nitrogen,
Yes.
but I need a lot of phosphorus on it.
Yes.
So what you do when working on your compost or producing your compost, you will need to introduce material that will increase phosphorus to be high as compared to the nitrogen.
Yes.
So this is one of the measures that a farmer may do or may try to work on, so that they can know I need this kind of nutrients as to this, so that you may not overfeed on the soil on night, and maybe it's already there.
Awesome. So this concludes that as a farmer, we need to do tests, the kind of soil we
Sure.
have.
Yeah. The farmer needs to do the test, the soil
Yes.
analysis, time to time, so that they can be able to know what do I need for my soil, so that we
Yes.
may not just feed the soil on,
Yes.
let's say, like something like ugali. Just the way we can't feed on ugali throughout,
Yes.
we don't need to feed on just nitrogen, and we are not
And also they need to keep in check with the patterns, because sometimes if you test the soil today, definitely sometime it might change, right?
Sure.
So the testing should be done after how long, or how do I know that now I need to do a test again? Is there a standard procedure, or it should be done after this period of time? Or maybe once I use my vermicompost on my farm, then maybe I should also do a test after that, so that I check if there are any changes.
So now what happens? Normally we say soil test or a sample should be taken after about 2 years. We can say averagely 2 years.
2 years, huh?
A farmer should test their soils, see how they are performing, what is required. And after, if a farmer follows, because now there are those guidelines that a farmer, you are advised, maybe your soil is acidic, use this to balance the pH.
Yes.
So if a farmer follows those guidelines, then you really don't want to test again after maybe using a particular product. So once you do that,
Yes.
you follow the guidelines, you feed the soil as advised, you'll be sure that you are going to get, and you will note whether you did the right thing with the result that you are going to get
Yes.
in terms of production. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, you've given us quite some very great insights on how we should carry out analysis on both our farms, and also how we can know that our vermicompost has matured. It's in shape. It's pure. It doesn't have any chemicals that can affect our farms. I will take a very short break, and just before we take the break, I would love to You that we are having a campaign markup, and you are having a campaign on aflatoxin, and aflatoxin can be found in peanuts, derived products, and animal byproducts. As we all know, aflatoxin are the most potent carcinogens and are known to cause liver cancer in human beings and animals. And now there's a species that infect a broad range of crops such as peanuts, chili, black pepper, macadamia nuts, and soil is also the primary source of all these infection for both pathogens. Now, Markup and UNIDO are having a campaign on the same. So if you really want to know more about aflatoxin and the advantages or the disadvantages that comes with it, then probably you need to check out the Markup and UNIDO website. And also you can check us out on our website, farmers.com. We'll share more or details on the same. And also we'll be having a few videos touching on the same. So just keep it a Farmers Media. We'll be right back. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. Today we've been having a very great guest, Mr. George, who is an expert in issues dealing with vermicomposting, and I'm looking at how guys are responding here, and people are really learning a lot today. Now, vermicomposting is something that most people have been afraid to start up. People have been holding. They don't want to practice, or rather, they don't want to be part of it because of the methods and the nitty-gritties that are involved in this process. And today we have a professor. Our great professor. Welcome back. Now, I just want us to touch, because I can see we have very few minutes remaining. I just want us to talk about the storage methods. The storage methods, the safe methods, actually, not just storage, but the safe methods of storage, the shelf life. How long should vermicompost be contained? For what period? And then now, is there any disposal methods that a farmer needs to know? And during the harvest, someone is asking, during the harvest, are the earthworms still alive, or you kill them, or what happens?
Okay, now we may start now from there.
Yes.
During the harvest, the worms are still alive. And the idea is, or should be, that they should not die. So that is why we make a sieve that is very safe. Whenever we are saving, like in the sieve that we are about to drown, which the worms right through, so they won't die. We are going to them still where they are alive, so that they can go back to the system and continue the work of it.
Yes.
So we always try to keep the worms alive. Then, now once we harvest the compost, the storage, normally, contrary to what farmers have been doing in the past, you find that the farmers have been leaving the compost or exposed either or. But for the vermicompost, we make sure that it's not in direct contact. We have to store it in a safe place where it's not going to get
Yes. Oh, you're breaking. You're breaking.
So the compost will be viable for 6 to 12 months. That is 1 year.
Yes, 6 to 12 months. I think we've lost connection to our guest. I think our producer is working on that. Now, today you had an insight on vermicompost and what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, what are some of the measures, what are some of the processes, some of the things that need to be done, and the kind of foods that we should feed. We should feed the worms. Actually, has talked about having a balanced diet, just as a normal human beings requires a normal balanced diet. The same way, the worms also need a balanced diet. I thought once you give them manure and maybe a few fruits here and there, it's enough for them. But the expert has just said you also need balanced diet so that you can achieve the best out of it. And also, depending on the kind of soil you need, before you actually try it out, you also need to carry out soil tests so that you are able to determine how your soil content is, your soil pH, and also this will make it easier for you to know how you can easily, or what kind of feeds you really need to give to your worms, so that it's only not dependent on one thing. He has also talked about very important issues, like the place where you want to start your vermicompost project needs to be very secure, because as you know, birds love worms. We have frogs that feed on the same, we have snakes that feed on the same. So you really need to, as a farmer or as someone who is thinking on the lines of trying out vermicompost, you really need to know, and you really need to put up measures that will ensure that you get maximum output out of this, and also you get quality vermicompost. I don't know whether our guest is back, my producer. Oh, thank you. Now, on the same lines, you've also touched on a few things that needs to be done. We've talked about the methods, the kind of worms that needs to be used, because most people always think that it's only all the worms that they know. Someone was actually saying they can use a millipede, you know. Yeah, I've seen someone asking in our social media handles, can I use a millipede instead? So he has also touched on the same and talked about the kind of worms that need to be used during this process. And it's quite a very educative and informative session. Now, kindly check us out on all our social media platforms: Farmers Media on YouTube, Farmers Media on Facebook, Farmers Media on Instagram and LinkedIn. Now, we also have our online radio channel. Download Zeno app. If you're using Android, you can go to Play Store. If you're an iPhone, you can go to App Store and download Zeno app. After downloading Zeno app, kindly search for a Farmers Media. Search for a Farmers Media, and there's a lot that you can learn from that. We have our episodes there, both previous episodes and current episodes, for both our shows, Farm Drive, Farm Girls, Shajara ya Mkulima, or whatever kind of episode that you want to listen to, or whichever podcast you want to listen to, you'll get them there. You can also listen to music, cool music. We all have our taste and type of genres that we love in music. Yes, so just keep it a Farmers Media in all platforms. Keep it a Farmers Media on our radio station, and I'm sure you will get more and more information. In case you want to give us any feedback on anything, in case you need any assistance, or there's a topic that you want us to discuss, kindly get in touch with us on our social media platforms, and we will gladly get in touch with you as soon as we get your message. Yes, so thank you so much to those that have tuned in. We still continue with the topic of vermicomposting. Yeah, we still continue the topic of vermiculture, or some people call it vermicomposition, and it's really a topic that it's very interesting, considering that vermicomposition is something that a lot of people don't want to practice it. A lot of people are afraid to do it because of the things that are involved. Most people from my side, so many people are scared of worms. So having that mindset of daily keeping in touch with the worms, it scares them away. But we realize that vermicompost is something that has a lot of benefits, and it's so natural compared to other methods. It's so natural and it's very safe. If it's done well, the success rate is 99%. I don't know whether our guest is back. Oh, thank you. As we wait for our guest to take us through the storage methods, and also to take us through various means of ensuring that you have a wider shelf life, we can still check our traffic updates and weather updates. So on to Mombasa Road, as usual, there's traffic on Mombasa Road. Thika Road, traffic as usual. Yes, there's traffic along Thika Road. For those that are traveling along Thika Road, kindly ensure that you have enough fuel so that things don't work against you. I'm a producer. I don't know whether you have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my producer. As we can see, on Thika Road, there's a lot of traffic, but it's moving very fast. Yes, Kamiti Road, there's a bit of traffic, but it's moving. Lumumba First Avenue is moving. TRM, it's moving slightly. Yes, USIU is moving slightly as well. Yes, Embu Nairobi Highway, it's moving, though there's a little bit of traffic, but it's moving very well. Around Garden City Park, it's also okay. Yes. Yes, if we are still on Thika Road, kindly. If you are still on Thika Road, Outer Ring Road is moving. It's okay, though there's traffic a bit around Allsops. Can you check CBD, Maui Avenue, Kenyatta Street? Yes, there's a lot of traffic in Maui Avenue. There's traffic, Kenyatta Street, and there's traffic. Kimathi Street, it's moving. There's traffic on Standard Street. If you're around River Road, avoid River Road as much as you can. Yes, Banda Street is tight. Very, very tight. Yeah. So just keep it safe on the roads. Ensure you have enough fuel if in areas that have very heavy traffic. As usual, if you can use the expressway, the better. If you have alternative routes, kindly use them. And yeah, that's it for our traffic updates today. We'll just go to our weather updates. I don't know whether our producer will have our weather updates ready. Yeah, as you can see from our end, we'll have Nairobi, we have temperatures of minimum 13, maximum 26. You have sunny intervals. In Mombasa, sunny intervals, temperatures of 25, maximum of 33 degrees. Kisumu, sunny intervals of temperatures of 18 degrees, maximum 30 degrees Celsius. The same to Eldoret, sunny intervals 10 degrees Celsius, maximum 25 degrees. Nakuru, sunny intervals, temperatures of 11 degrees minimum, maximum is 28. Nyeri, temperatures of 10 degrees, maximum of 26 degrees. Marsabit, temperatures of 17, maximum of 27. And then Garissa is Garissa is a bit high. If you're thinking of going to Garissa, or if you're in Garissa, then kindly note that the temperature is not so much favorable. Its minimum is 24, the maximum is 35. Lamu, the same, 25 minimum, maximum is 30. Lodwar, we have sunny intervals, 23, then the maximum is around 37. Malindi, we have sunny intervals, minimum is 16, maximum is 30. Makindu, 18, maximum is 30. Mandera, we have sunny intervals, minimum is 23, maximum is 36, the same to Moyale. Kisii, the temperatures are a bit favorable, minimum is 15, maximum is 27. Machakos, 13, maximum is 24. Kericho, the temperatures, we have sunny intervals, the temperatures are 11, 25. Narok, 11, 28. Kitale, 12, 28. We have Kitui. Kitui, we have sunny intervals, minimum temperature 16 and maximum temperature is 28 as well. In Wajir, we have sunny intervals of temperature, or minimum is 23 and maximum is 37. Now that's it for our weather updates today. I'm not really sure if our guest is back. My producer, can you confirm? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've had a very great session today, and we've tried to keep in touch with our guest, but we can't find him. We'll schedule another day so that we can have a greater conversation on the same. We'll talk about the storage, factors to consider when storing vermicompost. We'll also see the shelf life. He had talked a bit about shelf life, but he also needed to tell us what happens in case you exceed the shelf life. These are some of the things that we needed him to cover, but we'll schedule another session with him so that we can have another great time, another good time right here on Farm Drive. I've been your host, Kevin. Till next time, see you.